as was approved by Parliament, government also as part of the transaction has created an escrow account for debt service for the facility. Now, this arrangement, according to him, is not new, as the Ministry of Finance have from time to time created specialized escrow account for specific purpose. In this particular transaction, an amount of $37 million from the facility has been set aside for debt service obligations or documentation relating to this arrangement were supplied to Parliament when the House sat on the matter.
Okay, so clearly there's a disagreement on the figures, but what are we learning?
So, Emefa, the interesting thing is that the amount of money that was put before Parliament, $750 million, gave exactly where the money will be going to. So, for example, the Ofanko and Sawam Road, 200 million, Josoko Nongu Road, 75 million, completion of Sawam Apivia Road, $10 million. So I'm interchange and local roads network, 47 million. Completion of Flower Pot interchange Legom, 35 million. Completion of Sofo Line interchange, 35 million. Construction of Kwabinya Peduase Road, 10 million. Completion of Eastern Corridor, Lot 5 and 6, 70 million. Completion of Chikrom Adaus Road projects, 98 million. Purchase of rolling stock and spare parts, 30 million. Construction of stadia infrastructure for all Africa Games, $140 million, all coming up to 750. Now, it's unclear which of these projects will suffer a cut to be used to set up the escrow account of $37 million.
We're still monitoring that and we'll bring you more. Thank you very much, Elton. Let me take you to the court now, where the Health Minister, Kweku Agyeman-Manu, says he's not aware that his ministry approved payments made to ambulance supplier Big C General Trading Limited. Mr. Manu also says he's equally unaware that the Controller and Accountant General asked the Bank of Ghana to issue letters of credit which form the basis of that particular payment. The minister is the fourth of the Attorney General's 5 witnesses in the prosecution of former Deputy Finance Minister Dr. Lato Forcing and 2 others accused of causing a €2.3 million loss to the state in the purchase of ambulances. Lawyers for Dr. Forcing have today been challenging the testimony of the Health Minister. Court correspondent Joseph Akable was there for us. He joins us live on the line. So, Joseph, we understand Dr. Forcing's lawyers have in their possession documents showing the Health Ministry approved the payments contrary to the claim of the minister?
Yes, they say they do, but those are documents that Dr. Bamba, who is lead counsel for Dr. Forson, says they will not be showing to the health minister. In fact, the health minister had claimed that there were advance payments contrary to the agreement, and additionally, he had not seen any proof indicating that his ministry approved that particular payment to be made. But Dr. Bamba said those are documents that they keep in their custody, and at the right time, they will make available to the courts.
But how about the directions from the Controller and Accountant General's office to the Bank of Ghana? Any evidence presented?
Yes, a document that was authored by a Deputy Controller and Accountant General was given to the Health Minister to read to the court, and that document indicates the Controller and Accountant General's office asking the Bank of Ghana to make those letters of credit available as a basis for the payment. But the Health Minister replied by saying that the said letter references the other letter that was written by Dr. Forson, and so he stands by his earlier testimony about the role that Dr. Forson played in terms of the payment for the said ambulances, which resulted in the financial loss to the state.
Well, Joseph, was Dr. Forcing himself in court, and what's your reading of the mood during that testimony?
He was joined by a number of his colleagues. He was here together with the NDC's vice presidential candidate, Professor Nanajo Kweku, as well as other members of parliament, and throughout the testimony, he's been listening closely, and when the court went on recess a short while ago, he's been interacting with his legal team before they step down briefly, and we're expecting them to come back for continuation shortly.
Okay, that's court correspondent Joseph Akable there giving us details of that particular case in court. Now, the Roads and Highways Minister, Kwesi Amwakwata, says the country's precarious financial situation has made it difficult for his ministry to fix the many deplorable roads in the country. Taking his turn before Parliament's Government Assurances Committee, Kwesi Amwakwata lamented the failure of the controversial e-levy to rake in the expected revenue and argued that had Ghanaians supported the tax measure, more roads will be fixed across the country. Data from the Finance Ministry suggests government has raked in less than 7% of its target.
Limited resources. So I wouldn't say that the Finance Ministry is not releasing money as if it should be personalized, that the ministry is being punished or penalized. Or we get our fair share of the national cake there is also, just as any other ministry gets. And this kind of, we are not having enough for work to be undertaken by a particular ministry is general. It's not only limited to my ministry. And it has been happening, right from independence. If you take loans, the previous government is on record, and persons were being asked to my predecessor minister. I was in Parliament, Honorable Fuseni, was faced with this challenge. So it's a challenge that all of us must come together and call upon our people to address. That is why we must be prepared as a country, to pay taxes and contribute to infrastructure like the e-levy, which was introduced. If it's supported, one of the key areas for the e-levy was the road sector.
Well, let me take you live to that hearing then. Parliamentary correspondent Kweku Asante joins us with more on this. Kweku, so he was also pressed about whether his ministry had received all the allocations for the 2022 budget. What was his response to that?
So, the minister says he does not want to personalize the questions. He says although his ministry has not received the amounts that were allocated to them in the 2022 budget, it is not peculiar to only them.
Well, there were also concerns about whether he's been able to deliver on all the promises he's made on the floor. What was his response?
So there are a number of promises the minister made when he answered questions on the floor of Parliament: Adenta roads, Axim roads, Solar Tuna Kaba roads. The minister says these roads are all under construction, and they are expecting that by the end of the year, a number of roads will be completed so that he can come and commission.
Is he the only minister expected to appear before the committee today?
Yes, according to the schedule, he is the only one expected to appear.
Thank you very much. That's Kweku Asante, our parliamentary correspondent. We'll bring you more on that, and you can read more of that story and more on myjoyonline.com. Our top story this afternoon on the Midday News, live on Joy 99.7 FM in Accra and in Kumasi on Love 99.5 FM and over 30 affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions. The city has picked up strongly against the major trading currencies, especially the dollar, as the Afrexim $750 million loan hits the government's account. We've been hearing from some vehicle dealers who are asking government to tighten the currency market to help sustain the gains. When we return, we have sport, and then
People haven't stopped eating meat, but they can't afford to buy meat because there is no money in the system.
It appears households would have to brace themselves as fish sellers and cold store dealers predict high meat and fish prices as the dollar continues to dictate the pace of doing business in the city economy. Stay tuned in for more on today's Living Standard series. Meanwhile, some labor unions are pushing for more cash from government after receiving payment of their cost of living allowances for July and August.
Sooner than later, we should start having discussions toward what will be given us for the year 2023 in terms of increment on our salaries proper, and we'll go in bearing in mind inflation, depreciation.
Thanks for staying with us here on the Midday News. Time for sports. Musbao, what do we have?
Well, the Ghana Football Association have a quiet document which now makes the local football association outright owners of the land which houses the Ghana Soccer Center of Excellence. The land was secured in the late 90s by former sports minister E.T. Mensah, but the GFA has been in contention with chiefs of the local traditional area since the edifice was put up in 2003. But the football administration from today have become legal owners of the property after the acquisition of legal proof. Joy Sports Ureko Ampofo has been at the Congress, which is currently being held at Prampram, and reports.
Until recently, the Ghana Football Association didn't have any documents to show proof of ownership of the land. Since the last Congress, the association have managed to negotiate and also make down payments. Now, as a result, there would now be a massive facelift, according to Keto Kreku. The facelift begins today as the Ghana Football Association president is expected to cut the sword for the Bet Power Park, which is part of the benefits of the 3-year deal signed with the new headline sponsor of the Ghana Premier League. Also, it is expected that by the end of Congress, the Football Association also say that they would commission the first borehole facility right here in Pram. My name is Ori Kwampo for reporting for Joy Sports.
So that's Ori Kwampo reporting from Pram there. So the Congress is happening, and next weekend, Ghana Premier League will kick off.
We can't wait for that, can we? Let's talk about our living standards today. And fish sellers and cold store dealers fear the price of your meat and fish will continue to soar unless the cedi is stabilized. At the Kaneshi Fish Market and the Francopat Cold Store, traders say their businesses are struggling to survive.
Naomi expresses her dissatisfaction with the current state of her trade while holding a lifeless fish firmly against a sharp knife in her palm.
We are unable to afford fish. All our money is finished. Our distributors claim the high prices are because of the import taxes paid in dollars, but we do not spend dollars in this country.
So I visited a major cold store to find out concerns about the escalating prices of animal protein. Francopat Limited had adjusted its prices following another dip in the cedi rate against the major trading currencies. In 8 weeks, Operations Manager Kennedy Owusu has overseen price adjustments at least 4 times.
The exchange rate that keeps going up every day, which we have no control over it, so we are also compared to dance to that rhythm. As it goes up, then we also compare to go up. Because all the components in here has to go or deal with the exchange rate.
That's our Living Standard series with Mami Senior Miche Thompson. Now, some labor unions are pushing for more cash from government after receiving payment of their cost of living allowance for July and August 2022. The amount represents 15% of the basic salary of public sector workers to cushion them against the harsh economic conditions. General Secretary of the Public Sector Workers Union, Bernard J., President of the National Association of Graduate Teachers, Enzo Kabonu, and Vice President of the Ghana Medical Association, Dr. Justice Yangsen, have been reacting.
I'm unable to independently confirm that to you right now from where I am. But obviously, yes, it's not enough. It wouldn't solve all our problems. But we believe once that is the agreement and that has been done, then it is in order.
Yes. Our validators have indicated to me that in their validation exercise, the 15% is reflected. Well, I am 15% better off than what I used to be a few days ago. That is not to say that it is. I mean, you know, at the time that we were negotiating this COLA, inflation was at a certain percentage. Today, inflation is gone far higher than what it used to be. So the real value of the money is depreciated because of inflation. So when we talk about happiness, it's a different matter.
It is not as if government hasn't done anything, but we would have loved to have more. But under the circumstances, this was a negotiated position. So I guess workers generally are okay with it for now. We also expect that sooner than later, we should start having discussions towards what will be given us for the year 2023 in terms of increment on our salaries proper.
We hear there from the Public Sector Workers Union, NAGRAT, and the Ghana Medical Association. Now, this afternoon, some 21 top management staff of the Electoral Commission face possible dismissal after the Auditor General discovered they failed to declare their assets and other personal records, including police background checks. The Auditor General, in its 2020 report, also found that the Commission did not have a register to capture its assets across the country. My colleague Michael Ashali joins me in studio with details of that report. Michael, concerning the personal records, what did the report say?
Now, it says all employees are expected to state their date of birth certificate and again by an original birth certificate or affidavit. Now, hometown is also expected to be stated, whether convicted of criminal offense and number of children, and then the next of kin, among others, contained in a standard form. It says that of the 21 that were sampled, none of them had personal records, passport pictures, police background check reports, and declaration of assets and liabilities on their files.
Now, what did the Auditor General recommend?
So, Emefa, although that it did not recommend for their removal, it noted that in accordance with Article 9, Clause 2 of the agreement, non-provision of these personal records on the personal files amounted to concealment of facts, and intentionally refusing to provide them could lead to the risk of termination of their employment.
Well, the Auditor General also directed the Commission to get an assets register to capture all of its assets dotted across the country, right?
Yes, it did.
Okay, thank you very much. That's Michael Ashali there. It's time for our Drive Safe campaign.
Safe driving saves lives. Drive safe.
Now, some road users are unhappy that overaged and rickety vehicles are still allowed to use the roads despite the extreme risk they expose passengers and other road commuters to. Some of these passengers who spoke to Joy News in a random interview are questioning why state institutions mandated to ensure public safety appear to be reneging their responsibilities.
The best thing to be done has to be with us. Let's say you have a car. Per the condition of the car, normally the car shouldn't be on the road. But at the end of the day, man has to eat.
I think that those who grant them permission must be questioned, because knowing very well that the car is not good for the road, it can cause accident, it can destroy lives. Why do you have to give them permission in the first place? So I don't blame the drivers, I blame those who give them permission, the roadworthy and the insurance companies.
It's really sad seeing such vehicles on the road, because honestly, most of these accidents are not caused by just overspeeding and all that. All these imbalances in the cars and how good the car is and the faults, check, all these things should be checked. That's it.
I think for the roadworthiness of the vehicle, we have an institution that takes care of that. That is the DVLA. But what they do is, most of the vehicles, they don't go for the checks. They just go and then get the stickers and place them in the screens of the vehicles to tell the police on the road that the car is very roadworthy. But actually, most of them are not.
Well, Engineer David Safadonte is the Acting Director General of the National Road Safety Authority. He believes it should be the responsibility of every passenger to thoroughly inspect vehicles before boarding to their destinations.
The vehicle that we are traveling with, we make conscious efforts to know the vehicle? So perhaps we are suggesting that everybody must be concerned, must show interest in his or her own life. When you get to a loading terminal, don't assume that the vehicle is roadworthy. In the first place, for you to know that the vehicle is roadworthy, you must inspect the sticker on the screen, the windscreen. If it is roadworthy, it will clearly show. Some of them may be fake, but you find out first. If it is possible, you must use your own physical eye, because you might not have any device.
That's for our Drive Safe campaign. Just before we go, Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Mirko Duka, says government is deploying permanent river guard posts along major rivers in the country. He says these river guards will be fitted with special suits with live body cameras to monitor the activities. The move, he says, is to control mining on water bodies. He's been addressing a forum of MMDCs and chiefs in Kumasi. And that's how we end today's edition of the Midday News live on Joy99.7 FM. There's more on myjoyonline.com, including stories like if Ghanaians supported e-levy, we would have fixed more roads. That's the roads minister. Also, I am not aware Health Ministry approved payments for ambulances. That's according to Ajiman Menu. I am jobless. People I helped pass by to give me money. That's a former MP. These and more are stories that you can read for yourself on myjoyonline.com. I am Emefa. Apawu, many thanks for your company. Living Word with Pastor Mensah Otabil is up next. Please stay for it.
Hey, transactions on Kwahu beeping. Not then. Charlie, come on, issue. Right, be mumu pet way if you make a small. Small. Ah, guy way. Bro, I say if you chop 5K every week, sake of MTN Momo Manto. Hey, sir, tell me more.
Momo Month is back and bigger than before. This time, we're giving you several reasons to smile. Simply download and install the Momo app. Earn more points as you use it. Send Momo. Pay for goods and services using the QR code or merchant ID. Buy airtime or data from your own wallet. And you could win up to 5,000 Ghana cedis every week. Achieve your weekly targets and double your points accumulation. Dial *170# to check your points. TNCs apply. Please note that all winners will only be called by the official MTN number 0244 300,000 to redeem your prizes.
MTN.
Hello, my name is Na Ashakoy, and I'm excited to lead you into something absolutely amazing. It's a one-cast play called 5 Hours with Mario. See you there.
Globe Productions, in partnership with the Embassy of Spain, Joy Entertainment presents a Latif Abubakar adaptation of Miguel Delibes' novel 5 Hours with Mario, live at Accra International Conference Center on September 3rd and 4th. 2 shows each day, 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. For 80 Ghana cedis, dial *447*1092# to grab your tickets now.